What if I told you there's a story so bizarre, most people don't even believe it? Stay with me. You'll never look at history the same way again. Thousands of years before smartphones and the internet, there was already a communication system that could connect you directly to the creator of the universe. No dropped calls, no buffering, just instant divine messaging. Today, we're diving into one of history's most mysterious communication devices that makes our modern technology look like child's toys. These are stories you won't find in textbooks or hear from anyone else. Don't miss out on stories that will inspire, shock, and leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. There are those who are overly curious and like to pry, and there are also those who don't seem to bother much. The question is, what can we gain from this? For sure, your whole body will tremble, your brain will explode, and you will definitely be blown away if you learn that there is a divine decision machine. Let me introduce you to the Urim and Thummim, two sacred objects that served as God's personal answering service for ancient Israel. These weren't decorative trinkets sitting on a shelf somewhere. These were active, functioning communication tools that delivered real-time responses from heaven itself. Think of them as the world's first spiritual smartphone, except instead of getting texts from friends, you received direct messages from the Almighty. The names translate to lights and perfections, which already sounds pretty impressive, but their actual function was even more incredible. Here's where this story gets absolutely mind-blowing. In 1 Samuel 23, when King David already saved the city of Keilah from the Philistines, and he was camped there, he learned that King Saul was plotting against him. He called for the priest Abiathar to bring the ephod to inquire of the Lord. He wants to know whether Saul would come down to Keilah and whether the men of Keilah would betray him and deliver him to Saul. And he got an immediate, crystal clear answer. He will come down and they will deliver you. So David and his men, about 600, arose and departed from Keilah and went wherever they could go. But here's the plot twist that shows these weren't just lucky guesses. When King Saul tried using the exact same system later, he got complete silence. God basically hung up on him. It's like having a phone that only works when the person on the other end actually wants to talk to you. And when Saul inquired of the Lord did not answer him, either by dreams or by Urim or by the prophets. 1 Samuel 28:6. Other channels just clickbait you and waste your time. But if you've ever been disappointed by half-baked explanations or dry history lessons, this channel is for you. I dig deep to uncover every detail and bring these stories to life. These are the stories you'll be dying to share at your next gathering. They will be impressed. Subscribe now, and I promise you'll walk away amazed every time. Do nothing and keep on wasting time on stories that don't really matter. Then you will know how much time value you've lost. Doing nothing is expensive too. Even more dramatic, these objects once exposed that Saul's own son Jonathan had broken a sacred fast by eating honey during battle. King Saul placed the army under a rash oath not to eat until evening. Jonathan, unaware of this oath, ate some honey. In 1 Samuel 14:41, the Urim and Thummim revealed family secrets that could have cost Jonathan his life. Talk about divine surveillance technology. How the Urim and Thummim were used. Saul prayed, "O Lord, God of Israel, why have you not answered your servant today? If the fault is in me or my son Jonathan, respond with Urim, but if the men of Israel are at fault, respond with Thummim." 1 Samuel 14. The lot fell on Saul and Jonathan, clearing the rest of the people. Then Saul cast lots between himself and Jonathan was chosen. When confronted, Jonathan confessed to eating the honey. Saul declared that Jonathan must die, but the people intervened and rescued Jonathan, arguing that he had brought about a great victory for Israel. The $1 million divine costume. Now, where exactly were these incredible communication devices kept? Inside what might be the most expensive piece of clothing ever created, something called an ephod. But don't picture your typical religious robe. This was like the ancient equivalent of Iron Man's suit, designed specifically for connecting with God. According to Exodus 28:6, this masterpiece was crafted from gold thread woven with the finest blue, purple, and red fabrics on premium linen. We're talking about a garment so valuable, it would make today's luxury fashion brands look like dollar store knockoffs. The construction required the nation's most skilled craftsmen working at the absolute peak of their abilities. But the real genius wasn't just in the materials, it was in the meaning. Two precious onyx stones sat on the shoulders, each carved with the names of 6 tribes of Israel. Exodus 28:12 explains these served as memorial stones for the sons of Israel. Every time the high priest approached God, he was literally carrying the entire nation's identity on his shoulders. Imagine being the person responsible for representing millions of people every time you go to work. That's the kind of pressure we're talking about here. By choosing to engage with our channel, you're aligning yourself with a community of curious minds and truth seekers. Our storytelling stands out because we prioritize accuracy, depth, and a passion for uncovering the unknown. Don't just take our word for it. Join those who have found a home for their inquisitive nature right here. The ultimate customer service job. Speaking of pressure, can you imagine being the one person everyone turns to when they need to hear from God? That was the high priest's daily reality. Numbers 27:21 shows us that even Joshua, Israel's greatest military commander, had to go through the high priest to get divine direction for his battles. The process described in Exodus 28:30 explains how Aaron, the first high priest, would always bear the means of making decisions for the Israelites over his heart before the Lord. This wasn't a part-time responsibility, it was a constant 24/7 job of being ready to consult heaven on behalf of the entire nation. And you shall put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be over Aaron's heart when he goes in before the Lord. So Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel over his heart before the Lord continually. Exodus 28:30. Here's what makes this system absolutely fascinating. Nobody knows exactly how it worked. Some experts think the objects would glow or change colors. Others believe they functioned like sacred dice that would land in specific ways to indicate God's response. The mystery just adds to their incredible nature. But here's what we do know. This wasn't guesswork or superstition. This was God's official communication protocol, established by divine design. The real game changer. But here's the deeper truth that changes everything about how we understand God's character. He didn't want his people wandering around confused or making wild guesses about his will. He established a clear, reliable system for them to get definitive answers through their appointed representative. The ephod essentially transformed the high priest into the ultimate spiritual mediator, a living connection between earth and heaven. When King David danced before the Lord wearing a linen ephod in 2 Samuel 6:14, he wasn't just celebrating a military victory. He was demonstrating this incredible role of bringing people closer to divine communication. This wasn't a temporary experiment either. The system worked for generations. Even centuries later, after the Jewish exile, mentions using the Urim and Thummim to determine who was qualified to serve as priests when they returned to rebuild their nation. And the governor said to them that they should not eat of the most holy things till a priest could consult with the Urim and Thummim. Ezra 2:63. why this changes everything. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? The ephod wasn't just an ancient piece of religious clothing. It was the most sophisticated communication system in human history. It represented something that should blow our minds. God actually wants ongoing conversation with his people and has always provided practical ways to seek his guidance. When that high priest put on the ephod, he wasn't just getting dressed for a ceremony. He was becoming the voice of an entire civilization, carrying their questions, their crises, and their desperate need for divine wisdom directly into God's presence. Think about this for a moment. The ancient Israelites had something most of us can only dream about: guaranteed access to divine wisdom whenever they needed it. No guessing, no wondering if they were making the right choice, no hoping their prayers were heard. They could get direct, clear answers from the source of all knowledge. It makes you wonder what kind of questions you'd ask if you had access to that same divine hotline today. What decisions in your life could use that level of supernatural guidance? What problems are you facing that would benefit from getting God's direct input? This week, I'm dropping an unbelievable story that sounds like it came straight out of a movie. You won't want to miss it, and once it's live, only subscribers will be notified first. The kind of stories I tell aren't for everyone, but if you're someone who loves diving into the extraordinary, you belong here. Every like and subscribe fuels more incredible stories and guarantees you'll never be left out. The Israelites experienced something incredible, a foolproof way to know God's will in any situation. And here's the most amazing part. It wasn't their idea. God designed the entire system because he wanted his people to have clear direction, not confusion. That ephod represented the ultimate truth about God's heart. He doesn't want us stumbling around in the dark. He wants to communicate. He wants to guide. And he's always provided ways for his people to connect with him directly.